Hey everybody, welcome back. It's the Razzball Fantasy Baseball Podcast, the last one of the 2022 kind of season. Although we're gonna look forward. We're gonna look forward to 2023, and of course, the man that you want to hear from, the man, the myth, the legend, the fantasy master Lothario himself, the good-looking guy across the screen from me. If you're watching on YouTube, Gray Albright. I have to give you one last nice intro here. How you doing, Gray?
Oh, so 2023 is gonna be all bad intros.
Yeah, I'm just gonna lay into you in
just,
2023.
just absolutely rip me a new one.
He told you to draft
Hey,
Mondesi in his third
we're here.
round.
Welcome back to the Razzball Podcast. We're here with the biggest jerk in the world, Gray Albright. What a big doofus! How you doing, you giant doofus? Yeah. So this will probably be our last podcast, I would say, until the winter meetings, maybe, unless maybe Aaron Judge signs with the Marlins in November. Maybe we'll come back before the winter meetings. But yeah, I don't know. We'll play it by ear. We might do. I could see us doing at least one more podcast in 2022. It'll be. It's all for 2023 at this point, though. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're
Yeah.
if you're looking for if you're a time traveler, man, you gotta readjust your time meter
You
because you're
landed
way,
in the wrong
way off,
spot.
man. If you're looking for 2022, go back like maybe a month and a half ago. This will be our 2023 top 25 draft. Let's do it. Woo!
Yeah, great. Let's just jump into it. And I'll say just off the top, we're gonna do it for obviously 5x5 roto, and we're gonna do it for a daily lineup league just in our, as we're going through. I think that affects exactly one person that in the draft exactly. And I expect that said person to go very early, Gray. So with the first pick, Gray, who are you going with?
Um, you know, okay. So here I got to do a bunch of caveats first before I get into it. This is where already the people listening to this podcast are fast forwarding. They're like, when is he going to stop talking?
When do we get the player name?
When do we get the name? Let's go. just give me the name. Yeah, no, so I've done very little draft prep at this point. I mean, the season literally just ended. So I don't want people to be like, come to me in January and be like, "Hey, man, what's going on? Handsome face and all, but I got a question for you. And back in October, you drafted blah 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 number one, and now you're saying this guy's number one. So don't do that. Don't be that person to me, because I don't know. Honestly, I don't know what my top 25 is going to look like. And also, in this draft, we're going to be alternating between me and B Don. And when I actually do my rankings, it's just going to be me drafting, basically me ranking. So B Don's going to throw in a little bit of an unforeseen possibilities here, where I maybe would take a guy and he's going to take him at 2, and I maybe would have put him at 4, and that throws everything off. So anyway, with all that said, I'm gonna go super basic. I'm gonna go with a guy who I feel like was probably should have been number one last year. So actually, if someone's listening to this for 2022, this is good advice for you. Draft Trey Turner. I don't know exactly where I'm going to put Trey Turner yet for 2023, but he's just such an easy one that I don't have to think about it that much. It's like he's been rock solid for so many years that I feel like he's just like he gives you some power, some speed, good average. He's going to get you good runs. He's going to get you some RBIs, good RBIs for a leadoff guy at least. Good RBIs for a guy who's going to steal 25 bags. So it's like it's kind of like the most no-brainer-ish pick you can do, because last March I got the number one pick once, and I ended up with Fernando Tatis Jr. And that felt like a no-brainer at the time. So the fact that I'm taking Trey Turner right now and I'm saying no-brainer, I am absolutely jinxing him. He's going to come back and have the worst season of his career. But honestly, all jokes aside, I think Trey Turner's an easy number one. It's a no brainer kind of. So yeah, that's who I'm taking. Who are you going with, Beat on for number two?
Yeah, so I agree with Turner at the top. I had him at the top this year, so I feel like he just belongs there. He was still fifth in sprint speed, so as long as his speed's up, I feel like he's easy pick there. I'm gonna go with Shohei Ohtani at number two, the one guy that I made the daily caveat for because that way you can use him as a hitter and a pitcher. It does suck a little bit to clog up your DH this early. So I understand, potentially waiting, but you get a a top bat plus a top arm right off the bat. So
The
there's
first, the first reach of the draft.
yeah, I mean, I'm sure other people go in different directions, but it's Otani. He went 34 and 11. He had 273 this year. And then he also had a 2.33 or a 101 whip and 219 strikeouts. So, yes, he's easy pick number two for me in a daily format.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really disagree too much with that. I get it. I also feel like the utility spot clogging that up so early. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if honestly, I don't know where I'm going to be putting Otani. I don't think I'm going to be putting him two though. Clogging up the utility spot just feels wrong that early. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's not like you can really argue too much with that pick. So I'm going to go. I'm going to go with the guy who actually I am basically just drafting for 2022 at
20,
this point.
again, yeah, just doing it over again.
I am. I'm just doing it. I'm doing a do-over, basically. I'm gonna take Aaron Judge. You know what? Because like after he signs, this could potentially change, I guess, a little bit if something wacky happens. I assume he's gonna go back to the Yankees. But anyway, I think with Aaron Judge, like the fact that he hit 62 homers and stole 16 bags, I don't think he's gonna do it necessarily again. But even if he hits 40 homers and steals 15 bags and hits 280, I mean, it's not so it's not bad. I mean, that's not it's not like it's like, oh God, don't give me 40 homers and 15 steals, man. Jeez, that stinks. No, I mean, it's like that's better. Like this year, going back to 2022 again, this year with Vlad Guerrero Jr., he was going in the top five, and he was never going to steal 15 bags. And people were assuming he was going to do a 40 homer year, maybe a little bit higher on the average than 280. But, Aaron Judge hit 311 this year, so who knows? I mean, maybe Aaron Judge could hit 300 again. I'm basically I'm drafting him at 3 overall, saying if I get 40, maybe 15 is too high. If I get 40, 10, 280 with 110 plus RBIs and 95 to 105 runs, I mean, it's hard to really like it's hard to not take that as in the top five pick. So, and I feel like he's pretty safe at this point. Again, assuming he doesn't go anyplace weird, like I wouldn't necessarily love him if he goes to like Seattle. I don't know. I mean, I don't see Seattle forking over that kind of money for him, so I don't think it's going to happen. But Safeco is a terrible park. Like, there's a few terrible parks. I don't know. Like the Rangers last year spent 500 million. Maybe they want to spend 500 million more. That Arlington wouldn't be a great place for him. But again, this feels like all just like silly conjecture that like, you have the Buster Onlys and the Ken Rosenthals of the world to do this conjecture. Because Aaron Judge, honestly, I think he's just going back to the Yankees. I'd be shocked if he goes anywhere else. Um, Maybe the Mets, because Steve Cohen is like, hey, I'm ready to spend another $1 billion because we just got ounced by Joe Musgrove's ear. But yeah, no, honestly, I think Aaron Judge is a safe pick, so I'm going with him.
Yeah, I mean, I could see a number of places that he could go just because they have the money. It's a big enough market. So, like, obviously, Boston's a big enough market. They're going to have money to spend. The Giants, the Cubs could. I don't expect the Cubs to, just as a Cubs fan. Mariners, they're making the playoffs. They're making it past the wild card, so maybe they want to go spend a little bit of money for next year. And maybe the Nationals as a replacement for Soto, just something to have to root for. But the Nationals seem in full rebuild mode right now, so I just don't expect that one either. But yeah, I mean, I also expect him back in New York. I wouldn't have taken him at 3, but I don't have any issue with it. I think even 10 stolen bases is maybe high. But then again, with the adjustment to the pitch clock and all of that, maybe ten's right. But this is the first year he's ever had uh, more than 10 stolen bases. Although he obviously had some partial seasons in there that maybe he would have gotten there, maybe he wouldn't have. I'm going with again. I think this goes back to what you were saying. I'm just ignoring 2022, and I'm going with Ronald Acuna Jr. at number 4. I mean, if he's healthy, I don't see why he couldn't even go first on this list. He did it differently this year, but he still provided plenty of value. I expect kind of the power to come back as he gets away from the injury another season. The speed didn't go anywhere. In fact, he put up 29 stolen bases. So yeah, I'm taking Acuna and just betting on the talent to kind of bounce back and recover.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see he was a guy who I was looking at for one of my first two picks. Yeah, I have no problem with that too. I think he's probably I mean, I didn't love that the power was down this year, but I'll have to dig into it a little bit to see exactly what the issue was and everything. But yeah, I don't mind it. Actually gonna go. I'm gonna go with like Ronald Acuna Jr. Honestly, actually, you didn't know Ronald Acuna Jr. the JR in Junior. It's not for Junior. It's for Julio Rodriguez. Huh? Yeah, I feel like he's also a guy who is like this is something it'll be interesting in drafts next year because I do think there's a lot of guys so far that we've mentioned who all could potentially go number one. I mean, this is definitely a strong first tier of guys. Julio Rodriguez, I mean, is he like if you're looking at the draft and you're saying, okay, Ronald Acuna Jr. could go one, Julio Rodriguez could go one then, right? I
Yeah.
mean, he could. So yeah, I mean, it's going to be a strong top, like 5 or 6, I think overall for next year. But yeah, Julio Rodriguez, 30 homer power, 20 plus steals, 280-ish average, good runs and RBIs. Yeah, I kind of want Julio Rodriguez in every league next year.
Yeah, I wouldn't say no to Julio Rodriguez across the board. If you could just guarantee me that now, I'd be pretty happy. I'm gonna go with somebody who kind of already did what I expect, or what Julio Rodriguez kind of, is expected to do next year, and that is Kyle Tucker, who went 30, 25, 257 this year, 170 RBIs, 71 runs. I mean, he did everything I expected him to, and then maybe even a little bit more on top. So I have no problem taking, Kyle Tucker going to be hitting age 26 right in the sweet spot of, productivity. I think he's due for another great season.
Yeah, no, completely. He was honestly, you just that was the first snipe of the draft. He was the next guy I was going to take. I thought you were going to go with Jose Ramirez. So I was banking on taking Kyle Tucker. Yeah, this is the first time I feel like I've been sniped. Damn. Okay, so I guess I'll take Jose Ramirez then. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think when we get to my rankings, there's a good chance Jose Ramirez is going to be a little bit lower than this. I'm not sure. I'm not sure exactly where he's going to fall, but I am concerned about the second half. I'll be honest. This is more me just not being 100% prepared to take this draft pick. This is like you're on the clock in a draft when you're on the clock and you're like, oh, I'll just take Jose Ramirez. I mean, he's been totally fine. Like the first half of this year, he was totally fine, and this second half he fell off a little bit. So that's a little bit of a concern. I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to be drafting him next year, but for this exercise, I'll take him at what am I at? 7? Yeah, I'll take him at 7 overall.
Yeah, that's the seventh pick.
It's
I
not
mean,
bad. Honestly, he had a great year and he was going, I think he was like at 1 or 2 overall last year. So, I mean, it's not, I mean, I guess if you're at 7 overall and you're taking Jose Ramirez, there's worse things to do than get your arm twisted and take a perennial MVP candidate, right?
right. There's definitely worse things that you can do in a panic moment than take Jose Ramirez as the seventh person off the board. I mean, he was great this year. I'm with you in some of the concern. You mentioned the second half struggles. That's obviously slightly concerning. And then just kind of the numbers across the board are a little bit down from what they have been. But he's also a player that's been a little bit up and down in his career. He goes from like 40 home runs to 23 home runs to 17 to 36 to 29. So like he himself is just a little bit mercurial in the way that he's providing his value. But he always provides value. So I have no issue with the pick. I had one other person above Jose Ramirez who I'm going to take right now, and that's Bobby Witt Jr.
Oh, that's good. I like that. I like the Bobby Witt Jr. pick. I was looking at him. I was hoping he would fall a little bit later. Okay, so I'm gonna go with the I'm between two guys I absolutely love. Two guys actually I love more than Jose Ramirez, to be honest. But you know what? It's fine. This is just a, you know what? This is honestly, this is a good reminder to people out there. Don't let ADP dictate how you draft because, like, ADP is dictated by guys in October who don't know what the hell they're doing and they're just out there picking guys and then those and then those picks get like cemented and people start thinking like, "Oh my god, did you see Jose Ramirez went 7? Oh my god, this is crazy." Like don't
They don't know what they're doing.
no one knows. No one knows anything. Like William Goldman once said about Hollywood. No one knows a thing. Just like, go with guys you want versus what I do and go with guys I don't want. Anyway, I'm between two guys. I'm going to go with the guy who I had at number 1 this year who ended up being okay in the end. He was like, I think he ended up at 17th overall on the player rater, and he had a really good second half, like the opposite of Jose Ramirez, and that's Bo Bichette. I think Bo Bichette is, he's at a point where he's only getting better. He's probably an easy 20, 22 to 25, 27 maybe homers. He can steal anywhere from like I wouldn't be surprised if Bo Bichette steals bounce back next year because he had a pretty bad year this year for steals, but I could see him bouncing back a bit on steals because he did in like last year he had 25 steals and only 1 caught stealing, and then this year he had 13 steals and 8 caught stealing. So I don't know. I mean, like you said, with the pickoffs limited. It sounds like a bad mall store. Hey, did you go to Pickoffs Limited? Yeah, they have good pants. I don't know. But anyway, I think Bo Bichette is like he's in a great lineup in the top 3 spot in a great lineup. 22 to 25 homers, anywhere from 12 to 20 steals, 280 to 305, 310 average. I mean, he's really solid for counting stats. So yeah, I'm going Bo Bichette.
Yeah, I don't mind that at all. That's who I had actually penciled in next. So this is the second snipe of the draft here in Bo Bichette. And that takes me to an area of the draft where like I don't really know who I want in this area because it's all kind of similar. And then one guy who I'm not sure I really want to draft. So I mean, I think I gonna go with just the guy that should be here. I feel like I feel like he deserves to be here despite the disappointing season. So I'm gonna ignore 22 in this case and go with Juan Soto. Juan
Mm.
Soto fell to me at 9 this year, or 10. I would have been ecstatic, and I feel like this is just
And
a
you would
lost
you
year,
would have been ecstatic and
and I
lost
would have
your
been
league.
so wrong. And I'm gonna do it again, Greg. Get me back in line. Where's
You
the tickets
you
at?
you would have been like, hey, get out the noisemakers.
Just
And then
give me the money right now. Give me the trophy.
three
Give me the
months in,
money.
that noisemaker suddenly would have started playing a sad trombone. You've
Wah,
been like,
wah,
wow, what
wah.
happened with my noisemaker? It used to be so much fun. Oh man, yeah, that's a good. I mean, I can't argue with Juan Soto there. I honestly, I think I'm gonna be out on Juan Soto though. I'll be honest. I don't know. I mean, I really gotta look at
He's
his
too
numbers.
good, Gray. He's
He
just too good. He's too
is.
young to
He
like just
is.
flop out. Like
I
he's
know.
got to come back. I
Yeah.
will put my
Okay. So
money on
here's
it and lose it again if I have to, but like I feel very good about Juan Soto being good again.
okay. That's fair. It's hard. Like betting against Juan Soto is kind of silly. It's like betting against the house. I mean, it's really. Honestly, I agree to the most part. But here's a guy who I'm going to take at my pick, which is what am I up to 10?
Yes, you're 11.
11.
Sorry, you're 11.
Wow. This is see how great this draft is when no one takes a picture. Everyone listening to this is like, are they gonna draft a pitcher? No, we're not. No,
Not anytime soon.
yeah. We might draft a pitcher. Just stay tuned for after the break. Okay, so Yordan Alvarez is going to be my pick. So here's what I'm thinking with Yordan Alvarez. He's got outfield eligibility, so that's not an issue. So he hit 37 homers this year in only 135 games, and he hit 306. He's and nearly 100 runs and nearly 100 RBIs. I feel like he's getting slept on, and I mean, I'm a small guy. He's a big guy. I could probably sleep on him, to be honest. But I think he's getting slept on for how good he is. Like, I get it with Juan Soto. And this is like, if you look at Juan Soto's numbers, like, Juan Soto couldn't do what Yordan Alvarez just did ever. I mean, he couldn't, honestly. And Juan Soto's great. Like, don't get me wrong. Juan Soto's really good, but he doesn't have the power that Yordan Alvarez has. And Yordan Alvarez also, I don't think people realize how good he is. Like, he's a great hitter on average, too. He's not going to give you any steals, granted, but it's like you're between at this point, not to do a spoiler alert, but you're between like Yordan Alvarez, Freddie Freeman, or Pete Alonso, basically at this point. You're looking for a big bat, no steals, and you're looking at decent average. I think Yordan Alvarez I think he beats Freeman and Alonso at this point. So, and he's only, I mean, Yordan Alvarez is also only 25 years old. Like, we haven't even seen the best of Yordan Alvarez. If Yordan Alvarez doesn't hit 50 homers at least 1 year in his career, I'd be really surprised. So, yeah, I'm going Yordan.
Yeah, I have no problem with that. I literally had this exact same discussion that you just had out loud in my mind when I was putting my rankings together. It's like, do I want, the epic Juan Soto, like eventually he's going to go like 330, 45 home run type season? Or do I want to take the chance that Jordan plays? I mean, he's played 150 games plus the last. Sorry, that's no, he hasn't. That's a lie. I was looking at the wrong person. Um, but he has hit. I mean, 144, 135 the last two seasons. It's not like he's missing, 50, 60 games, and he's still putting up the numbers. So yeah, I'm with you on the Jordan pick. I think he's one of the best hitters in the game as long as he's out there on the field. So, um, which was the tagline apparently of the Yankees every time they talked about Judge trying to get his number down a little bit. Um, and I guess I'm going to disagree with you because I'm going to go in a direction that's not Pete Alonso or Freddie Freeman here because I was struggling with this guy at 10. I don't really feel like I'm going to have him here come 23 drafts, but I feel like he he's deserved his spot here at the top 12, and that's Mookie Betts.
Mookie Betts.
Yep.
Yeah. I was about to say it's like Mookie Betts and Jose Ramirez to me are gonna be like I feel like I'm gonna be out on them. I totally hear what you're saying though. Like Mookie Betts is probably like this is a situation where if there was more people in the draft room, like B-Don and I would be like we'd sigh in relief when someone took Mookie Betts at like 6 overall.
Right.
We'd be
Yeah.
like, yeah, like
Thank
he's
you.
gonna get
Get him off the
taken.
board.
Like yeah, like Jose Ramirez and Mookie Betts will get drafted before we're picking. Unfortunately, in this scenario, there's only two of us picking. So it's like at some point, one of us has to take a guy we don't want. But I mean, honestly, if Mookie Betts were to fall that far, to 12 overall, okay. I mean,
Yep.
I mean, I would draft him even at that point. But this is like what I say with pitchers all the time. He's gonna be gone already. It doesn't matter where I would draft him. Like it's like irrelevant because I'm only one person. I know my output seems like I'm more than one person, but I am only one person, and I think Mookie Betts is fine at 12 overall. He won't be there at 12 overall, and I'm probably similar to you in that I'm probably going to be out on Mookie Betts. Okay. Anyway, so I mean, I already gave away the, I'm between. So there's a few guys here. There's a really decent crop of guys. So I'm not giving away anything. We have Pete Alonso, Freddie Freeman, Vlad Guerrero Jr., maybe Bryce Harper, all in this sort of range. You know what? And out of those that I've just said, I guess I'm taking Vlad. I think, Vlad had a little bit of a down season this year, and it was still totally a fine year. And if I'm going to take Yordan Alvarez at the 11th pick, I mean, Vlad Guerrero Jr. at 13 doesn't seem. I mean, that doesn't seem too wacky. I like Vlad too. I think Vlad still got more in him than like we saw this year. Maybe not as much as we saw, in 2021, but I like Vlad. I think he's probably a good bet for like, 30 plus homers, 100-ish runs, 100-ish RBIs, 300-ish average. Oh, and this year he chucked in some steals too. So yeah, I'm going Vlad Jr.
Yep. I have no problem with that at all. I feel like I mean, you pretty much named most of the guys. I'll keep a couple of names tucked away since you didn't mention them. But I mean, no surprises really in these next few picks. It's just kind of in what order do we want to take them. I'm going to go with Bryce Harper just because he still does provide the power speed combo when he's out there. So I feel like this is one of your last chances to grab kind of the surefire or more surefire bets, I guess, for power speed here in this top 25 that's left. And as you mentioned, like this whole back end is kind of power, runs, RBIs, average, solid average to good average. And so there's a lot of those guys left around. So if I'm sitting on the turn, I'll take my upside pick with the power speed potential of Bryce Harper staying healthy.
Yeah, that's fair. I think out of Bryce Harper or Vlad is a solid like question. I think Bryce Harper over Freeman and Alonso. That doesn't. I mean, that sounds fine to me.
Yeah.
'Cause, like Alonso's going to hurt you a little bit on average. He's not going to give you steals. He'll give you power. And Freeman's basically the exact opposite. He's like going to give you average. He's not going to give you that much power. He'll give you a little bit on steals, but you can't rely on Freddie Freeman for steals really. Even though he stole 13 this year. I so okay, so I'm between those two. I'm gonna go Alonso because I feel like if you're, again, at my yardstick, obviously it's Jordan. I have a Jordan stick, and if you're looking at like Jordan versus Alonso, I mean similar, minus 20 points on average for Alonso, I think, and roughly either similar on power or a little bit more for Alonso because his track record, he stays on the field for 100 and, 55 plus games and hits, anywhere from, he's already had a 53 homer season. I mean, Alonso could Alonso could challenge 60 homers. He's built like that. Like he just, everything he hits, it's really it's a homer or kind of nothing in a lot of ways, but he hits the ball hard. So he's good. This is this is an area where you're like, if you're looking at your draft and you're like, okay, Freddie Freeman, Pete Alonso, or a guy who's going to get like some steals and like or a different position, like, it's like this is kind of like versus like how you want to build your team versus like whether or not you think these guys have to go at this point in the draft. But anyway, with that said, I'm taking Pete Alonso.
Yeah, and I do want to echo, just what you said. In this area, you can kind of do no wrong to some extent because you can build however you want after this. So if you're good at finding stolen bases, maybe you can wait on that. If you're good at finding home runs and RBIs and runs, then you wait on that. It just depends on what your strong characteristics are as well. I'm gonna go
You
with
know what? You know what? The person who said that last year was like, I'm gonna take. Let's see. I'm gonna take a. Who's the steel guy last year that was going in this area? I'm drawing a blank.
Yeah, I was trying to think of what ADP was at like the turn area.
Yeah.
Albies, maybe?
Oh, okay, Albies. Okay, so you're like, okay, I'm gonna take Albies, and then later on, I'm gonna get a first baseman like Joey Votto, and you're like, oh, oh yeah. So anyway, okay, so pick 16. Go ahead, beat on.
Yeah, so pick 16, I'm going with Rafael Devers. Phil third base. I mean, he's got the average, he's power. He had the little blip after the All-Star break where he was injured, and then he kind of finished the season strong again. So I'm going with Devers. I think he fits in with all the names that we kind of mentioned, and he's not like ancient like Freddie Freeman. He's going to be hitting 26. So I'm going to go with Devers here at the what would be the I guess the first pick of the second round in a 15 teamer.
Right. Yeah. And or you've just drafted Bobby Witt Jr. and Rafael Devers on the same team,
Yeah.
and you have two third basemen now. Yeah. Okay. So in third base is actually here. You have Austin Riley and Manny Machado. Um, I still see Freeman on my draft list. And there's Corbin Burns is there. I mean, let's be honest. Corbin Burns is going to be gone already. I think he's the first pitcher off the board. You know what? I'm just going to keep this realistic. I'm going to take Corbin Burns because he'll be drafted already. And so this way people can be like, okay, well, Corbin Burns is going to, if Corbin Burns falls to me at pick 17, is it okay if I draft him? Sure, but he's not going to fall to you. He's not. Someone will draft him before this.
Only
But
if you draft with Gray and me in a
and
two-person
that's it.
draft.
Yeah, yeah. If you're in a two-person draft, if you're the third person in a two-person draft, then yeah, maybe you can get Corbin Burns. Anyway, yeah, I'll take Corbin Burns at 17 just to try and keep a little bit of a veil of realism to this draft.
Yeah, I mean, I was waiting because I was like, oh, Gray's not going to take him, so I'll just take like Corbin Burns at the very last pick, and it just make me look intelligent when he goes, 24, 25. But yeah, I'm just going to keep going. I think Manny Machado is the next bat that goes here. I mean, he's so consistent. He's been so good. It's more just it's a track record. He's gonna do what he's gonna do, and he's kind of the last of that group of guys. And maybe Austin Riley has now put himself firmly in this group too.
There is such a wild amount of like, I mean, there's so many bats. Like, we haven't even like Lindor's still up there. There's still Freddie Freeman. No one's drafted him yet. There is like, it depends on Mike Trout. Like, hello, Ozzy Albies, who you mentioned already. There's Goldschmidt. There's a ton of bats still. Lou Bob, which I don't think
Yeah.
Lou Bob's really going to be in the top 25 to be honest. But yeah. So anyway, with that said, again to try and keep a little bit of an air of realism here, I'm going to go with Garrett Cole. I'm going Garrett Cole. So as always, Gray's drafting starting pitching early. You
You
know,
liar, Gray.
you
You took
know
two
my
pitchers on
motto.
me.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah.
anyway, I don't think Garrett Cole makes it to this deep in any draft. I think it's like a situation where it's just because like we're drafting two people here who don't draft pitching early. So yeah, I think probably I want to say it's Garrett Cole probably at the turn at the latest. He's not making it to like pick. What am I at? 19. Yeah, he's not making it to 19. But yeah, so I'll take him just for again the veil of realism. Let's go. Go ahead, Peter.
We'll pretend it's real, Gray. I'm gonna go with a name that maybe is a little bit off the board, but we've talked about him so much it really shouldn't be a surprise to anybody who's listening to the podcast because I told you I was gonna put him up here. I just didn't know exactly where. Well, in this draft, this is where he's going. Michael Harris the second comes in at 20, and therefore I've now paired him with I don't know somebody who's really good.
Yeah, man. You know what? If Michael Harris, so if you were to go like Pete Alonso or Jordan Alvarez and Michael Harris a second, I would love that. I would love it. Michael Harris second round, huh? That's his full name. He left off the round part, but that's what comes after the Roman numeral 2. Yeah, I like Michael Harris a second too a lot. I think you know what? I wonder if like he is because he was what he only got like 115 games played this year, so he went like he didn't quite get to 2020. 1920 297 was his end of the year number. So I wonder if like I'd like to see like by the time if you see in March, like if Michael Harris II like has a really good if the Braves go deep into the World Series, or if Michael Harris II has a really good spring, or if people start getting like excited about him, I could see him moving up to above even like where I took Pete Alonso because it's like Pete Alonso's whether or not you want power, and Michael Harris II's totally a different scenario. Like he's a 2020 guy. So I think like, in some ways, Michael Harris II and Pete Alonso are kind of interchangeable for where they'll be going in drafts. So I could see basically Pete Alonso going at like 13, 14, 15 overall, or I could see Michael Harris II going maybe even that high. So yeah, I mean, I'll be interested in seeing if he moves up, but it's a solid pick. I like it. I like Michael Harris II. I'll be honest. Okay. Anyway, so where am I at? Pick 21.
Yes.
Okay, I'm just gonna take Freddie Freeman. I just think of boring. I feel like I have the most boringest draft ever, but I'm taking Freddie Freeman. I mean, again, he's not gonna go this late. I don't think. I don't think. I mean, there's so many guys. Like, I don't know who's gonna get dropped out. If I had to guess, I feel like Rafael Devers is going to go later than you drafted him. So, like, I feel like he's going to get bumped down. I don't know if I mean Bobby Witt Jr. maybe gets bumped down a little bit. Not this far though. So I don't know how Freddie Freeman is getting into like the top 15 overall, but I do think he kind of is. I just don't know who to take out really from our draft other than Rafael Devers. I think is probably going to go a little bit later than you took him, but I don't know. I mean, it's just it might be personal preference too. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, and for like preparation for this show, I ranked 40 people, just kind of where I think they belong right now. Freddie Freeman wasn't among my top 40. So
Wow, really?
I'm perfectly fine not having Freddie Freeman. We talked about it, briefly, I think maybe last show or the show before that, but he went 21-13 this year. He hit 325. He obviously had a ton of runs and RBIs, and I don't expect the runs and RBIs to go away, but we've seen it with countless other, power high average bats that bat slows, the power goes, the average drops, and all you're left with is like the runs and RBI. And in the Dodgers lineup, if all that falls off, they have people who can potentially come up and take his spot too. So I'm not overly sold on Freddie Freeman.
You
I
heard
will
it here
probably take
first.
my chance everywhere else.
Freddie Freeman becomes the next Cody Bellinger. You heard it here first. the
Cody
Dodgers,
Bellinger at least was
the
stealing bases. I mean, he put
Dodgers,
up home runs and stolen bases. I think that's like 13 stolen bases from Freddie Freeman is the most he's put up in 12 seasons in the majors. Like, I don't know where that came from.
I know where it came from. He was trying to run his ass back to Atlanta. He was like, "Get me off of the Dodgers, man. I'm running.
Oh, LA, I can't handle it.
I can't handle the pressure of people showing up in the third inning. Oh, it's too much." Yeah, no, that's fair on Freeman. Honestly, again, like I feel like I may not be drafting Freddie Freeman next year either, but because there's only two of us, I don't know. I feel like I'm like the voice of reason here, drafting people that other people draft.
That's the first time that's ever been said, Greg. Gray Albright, the voice of reason.
Yeah, man, that's me in my own head. All right, okay, go
Meanwhile,
ahead.
I'm going off the board, and but no, I mean, I think this person belongs in this whole group too, and that's Austin Riley. I trust Austin Riley, the Brave that's still in Atlanta, to do it more than I trust Freddie Freeman to give me the home runs and the counting numbers.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I tend to agree. And also like Austin Riley, I don't know if people forget, but I mean, he's honestly not that dissimilar from Jordan Alvarez either. This is the Jordan stick. Yeah, I mean, Austin Riley hit 38 homers and 273. Like outside of like average is is going to be higher for Jordan, but power is obviously real for Austin Riley. I just think I don't know. I would have took Austin Riley instead of Rafael Devers. Not to keep picking on the Devers pick. I honestly, I would have taken Riley over Devers, I think. And then I probably, I would probably take Riley. I don't know. No, Machado's also, I mean, he's such a lock for certain numbers. Like he's such a lock for 30, 10, 290. So, I mean, it's sort of like how you want to slice up the pie, because like Machado and Riley are really close in value. It's just whether or not you want 35 plus homers and a little bit lower average and no speed, or if you want Machado, who's more like, barely 30 homers, but some speed, at least some steals and some average. So, yeah, I mean, it just depends on what you want, I guess.
Yeah.
In that situation, I'm going to go, so I'm going to go back to fun. people, I heard people listening to this and they're like, we want more fun from Gray. So you know what? I'm going to listen to those people. I'm going to go Francisco Lindor for my, what is this, pick 23. Yeah, I think, you know what? I think Lindor, honestly, if I can get Lindor this late, I'd be more than happy to take him. I think he's, he's only 28 years old. So he's still in the prime of his career. He's a 25 plus homer guy with 10, maybe 12 to 15 steals, 270 average with neutral luck. That's really good. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I don't think it's necessarily it's probably I mean, I don't know where the upside. I can't really see the upside of like when he was on the Guardians and he hit 38 homers. I don't see that anymore from him, but I could see potentially a 30 homer, 15 steal, 280 season. I mean 270 to 280. I mean, I could see that. So, yeah, I think he's probably pretty safe. Like, even though last year was not last year, but 2021 was a really kind of lousy year for him. Even that year, I mean, for that year to happen, his BABIP had to be so extremely low. Like he had, he had a lot of bad luck when it came to 2021. So I think neutral luck wise, I think last year 2022 is probably what I would expect from him again in 2023, and that's a solid year.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't have a problem with the pick. I'm probably not making said pick. I feel like Lindor just this is kind of like the max of what he's given you is what he gave you this year. The peripherals kind of say the average was a little bit lucky. And I don't know that I believe the power stays in that stadium long term. So I don't know. I'm probably a little more skeptical on Lindor based on what he did this year. I'll probably go earlier than I'm willing to take him. Just kind of falls into that group of people for me. I'm gonna go with since this is technically my last pick of the draft. We're gonna go super high upside here. I'm gonna go. Even though he's suspended, he's gonna come back suspended. He hasn't played in like a year and
Wow.
a half. I'm going Fernando Tatis Jr. Gray. I mean, he hurt you so bad this year. I feel like he has nothing to do but bounce back huge next year, just to spite you for having him number one early in draft season.
Yeah. No, I know. I was so honestly in this draft season in 2022 when I got the third pick and Tatis fell to me, I was so ecstatic. So I was so like out of my mind. Oh my god, I was so happy. And then they were like, "Oh yeah, he fell off a motorcycle." I was like, "You know what? He'll be back after a couple weeks." Come on. How bad could it be? And then they were like, "Well, he might be back in August." I was like, "Well, you know what? 2 months is better than no months." So yeah, that's a fine pick. I think if he's totally healthy and he's going to get what? I think he misses 30 games, I think is the suspension. So, yeah, I mean, if you get 30, 30, 15, 20, or if you get like Acuna's year this year, even though I think Tatis has more power. So, yeah, I mean, I could see that being a solid pick. I mean, in prorated wise, I could see him doing what I just said Lindor was going to do, but in a 130 games versus 160 games, you know?
Yeah, that was pretty much my thought process. Is that I have a number of guys kind of ranked right behind him that are all kind of feel like they're going to do what he's going to do in a prorated season, and then I also get to fill in that first month with whoever I'm grabbing from the wire to fill for Tatis's time. Obviously, if you're in a shallow league with no bench spots, maybe he doesn't go this early, but I feel like it was also a good topic to discuss is what we might expect from him here coming into 23. But you got the last pick here, Gray.
Mm.
Top 25 for 2023. I mean, we obviously have to hold you accountable for everything that you've said to this point. If somebody goes down with an injury, that you were supposed to foresee that, obviously. But who's at 25? I feel like there's a bunch of names right here. I kind of had a trouble at this spot. I was gonna take pictures here, but who you got?
Yeah, no, there is a ton of names. I mean, there's some of the names I mentioned already. There's Mike Trout. There's Ozzy Albies. Then there's pitchers. There's like Shane McClanahan, Sandy Alcantara. Who else? Brandon Woodruff probably up
Strider.
there. Strider's up there. Dylan Cease.
Yep.
Then some more bats. Probably Goldschmidt's probably gonna go. I mean, someone's gonna take Goldschmidt around here. Marcus Simeon maybe. I wouldn't be surprised.
Mullins, Rosarena, Dallas, all
Yeah,
probably in this area.
I wouldn't be surprised if someone takes JT Realmuto because people love their catchers. They love them. Who am I gonna take? I don't know. You know, all those names, they all sound good. I'm gonna take all of them at 25.
Oh, you just
Ah!
cursed like 7 players, Greg.
Yeah, okay, I'm gonna take Mike Trout. I'll just do that. You know what? 120 games, 40 homers, 270, maybe two steals. I'll take it. I'll take it at pick 25 overall. Why not? So yeah, I have the most boring squad. God, what has happened to me? I got old. I'm taking guys like Mike Trout. Ugh.
Are you drafting from the war room of like 2018?
Oh man, look at that. My bad. Can we start again?
Oh no, but I mean, I feel like it's customary that Mike Trout should make a mention on this show. It'd be wrong if he didn't. The future Hall of Famer didn't have a discussion about him on the show. I have
Yeah.
no problem with it. I mean, he was in that next group of guys that we all named. So, yeah, I mean, if he happens to play 150 games, that'd be amazing. I just don't expect that ever to happen again.
Yeah, that's probably true. Oh
There's
well.
just no, I mean, there's not enough time at DH to get him in enough games anymore because of Otani. Otani can't doesn't play in the field, so I mean, I just don't see him getting to that number. Like, I mean, even when he was putting up his 150, 160, plus games, it was getting some time in DH, even with like Albert and other people there.
Yeah, no, I think
So
I think also at this point, I mean, if we're being real with his like back problem, that it's probably better for him if he only plays 120 to 125 games,
yeah,
and you get a good Mike Trout for 120, 125 games. Like I could see him like, missing time or being like a four games a week guy or something. He's just not healthy enough to play 150 plus games. It's just not going to happen.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, I feel like that's a great spot to end it on. I mean, we named a bunch of the guys I think that belong in that third round or post 25 discussion, and it's going to be interesting to see where some of those guys go. Like, there's the older group of guys and the Goldies, Arenado, Altuve, Simeon, and you already took Trout. There's the last of like the power speed guys, Mullins, Rosarena, Dallas, Albies coming back from injury. Albies probably is a slam dunk pick there if he wasn't injured all season. And honestly, with the Braves having Harris, with the Braves having Grissom, and I don't know if they're bringing Dansby back or not. I would guess no, but Braves
I
fans
would think
also love
not.
him.
Right. I would say, you know what? I would honestly would think they were not going to bring back Dansby because Grisham, I mean, they got him. I wouldn't be surprised if Dansby is the one that gets like, they let go, out of that core that they have.
Yeah. And so that's my only concern with Albies is, he's such a platoon hitter that if he starts dropping to, 8, 9, 7, 8, 9 in the lineup for half the time, that's not going to be quite the numbers we're used to. He's always done a little bit of that, but not like a full-time thing. But with more options, they could potentially look at doing that. Anything else to say about the 2022 or 23 before we get out of here, Gray?
Uh, no.
No?
I don't think so. I'll be in. Where's winter meetings this year? I'm gonna. Is it in Los Angeles? Because if it is, I'll be there. If it's anywhere else, I won't.
If it's in your backyard, you'll be
Yeah,
there.
if
Yeah.
it's within a 1 square mile of where I live, I'll be there.
I don't know because I think they did the lottery last year, right? So I'm not sure exactly where it is.
Interesting. Okay, well, on that note,
Yeah, we'll see where it is. Thanks for hanging with us through the entire season, listening, subscribing, reading, commenting, all of that. Um, if you have any questions, if you're setting keepers, if you just want to talk about baseball, or I'm transitioning full time to football now. I've already been heavily football, but train full time football now. If you have any questions there, you can always find us on Twitter. I'm at RazBeaton. Gray is at Razball, and we'll talk to you next year.
all right, late.